Welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader, and today's video is mostly about mint on card action figures. I do have some playsets, some vehicles, some creatures, things like that. Pretty wide assortment here, but mainly mint on cards and mainly collector friendly, kind of budget friendly examples. So I hope that you guys enjoy this content. Thank you as always for tuning in. Be sure to leave me a like if you enjoy my content. All right, let's take a look. The first one, I thought this was a cool one to talk about. This was from a seller named LM Lane. I don't know this seller personally, but I have bought from this seller and been very happy with my purchases, and always has nice stuff. We've talked about this seller in the past. They had a Canadian Death Star space station for sale. So pretty interesting item. You never see the Canadian example for the box, and there it is. Station Spatiale de l'Étoile de la Mort. De la Mort. Pretty cool. That's a pretty cool box, and you know, just something you don't see very often. I would love to know what a sealed one of these, like AFA graded, would sell for. I bet it would be a massive number, but this was a very clean example with the box, and it sold for $544.88. I thought that was very fair, just given that a loose complete space station, Death Star space station, probably goes, what, $250 to $275 loose complete, and this included the Canadian box, so that's where the value really was in terms of the difference for what a usual one complete by itself without the box goes for. $544.88. Then we had, this was, I thought, a very interesting sale. Okay, so I don't know if people don't care or they really wanted to have it because it is a very clean looking example. But this is the 32B poor man's Bossk, poor man's debut Bossk. And so it looked super, super clean. But if you notice, anytime you see those words, read, it means there's something wrong with it. And apparently this one did have some ink touch-up because it was sent to AFA for grading and came back with ink touch-up on the front top right of the card. Very hard to see. It looks like a small Y. Top right of the card. Top right of the card. I don't see it anywhere. They're saying it's on this side. That's the top left. But I don't know. I don't know where it is. But it said top right, but maybe right there below. You see the ages 4 and up. Right below there, it looks like there might be something weird going on there. It looks like a very slight discoloration as I spit all over my screen. $428 though. So despite that, it was a very clean example. I can see why they sent it in to be graded. But it is got ink touch up and it's still sold for $428. Now, I have a 32B Bossk punched example, AFA 80. I think I paid like $900 for mine in an auction. And I don't think it's worth that today. I think it's come back down in price. So I'm thinking about selling it on Rogue 5 Toys. So it'll probably be, I mean, it'll be more than this, but it won't be what I paid for it because I vaguely remember a couple of them going in the $700-800 range. So it'll be in that ballpark is my guess. Because mine's punched and it is AFA graded, AFA 80, but I have been kind of offloading a number of items on Rogue 5. And thanks to those of you who watch the channel and have bought, I really appreciate that. And in the video description, there will be a link to Rogue 5 Toys for future listings, and just make sure you answer the questions or Chris will not allow you to join. So we got to make sure to keep out the scum and villainy. I don't see anything on this side. He keeps focusing on that side, but I think it's in the upper right hand corner somewhere. That's what he said. I don't particularly see it, but that's what AFA said. They use black lights. All the grading companies, they use black light to try and spot that stuff. And usually in hand, you can spot ink touch up pretty easily. It's just sometimes you can't see it in the photos. But anyway, that one still sold despite the ink touch up, $428. Again, a collector friendly example. This is the 47 back AT-AT driver, yellowed blister, obviously some wear on the card around the hang tab and elsewhere. That one sold for $225, one bid. I thought that was a pretty decent deal. Clear blister, AT-AT driver, ESB cards, very pricey in high grade. Very, very pricey. The debut, I believe, is the 41A survival kit. And that one in high grade clear blister is very pricey. I mean, you're probably in the $1,000 plus range for a very high grade example. But this is one you don't see that much, the 47 back. This one obviously had some wear to it. So $225, pretty fair deal. This one is the Han Solo Hoth on the 48 back C. And it was in decent shape. The blister obviously had a lot of crunching to it, so that's why it sold for what it did. $127, pretty good deal there, but a good collector-friendly example. In higher grade, probably triple that number pretty easily, if not quadruple. But I think for a collector-friendly example, this is not bad. This would display nicely in a sliding acrylic case, clear blister, and, semi-unpunched. So I thought that was a very good deal there. Here was a CAS 75 Plus Tauntaun, and this one I think is the closed belly version. It's hard to see there, but it doesn't mention the open belly feature, so and it looks like it's the closed belly version on the box. $615.01 for a CAS 75 Plus, and again, that one was factory sealed. Pretty fair deal there. You see that price all the time for the Tauntaun factory sealed ungraded. So I thought that was a very fair deal at $615. Here's another one you don't see often. Again, this was used contents, but this is the Imperial Troop Transport with the Empire Strikes Back packaging. I thought that was a very nice looking example though. Great display piece here. It looks like it was never used because it's still got, that sticker on the inside there. Although there is some kind of, discoloration and things like that, rust going on. But this one has the stickers applied, but I think that sticker implies to me that, I guess maybe that sticker's on there all the time. I don't know. I don't know enough about the interior kind of battery tray on these, but I think you're really buying the box on this one. I mean, this is a really cool box to have the Empire Strikes Back packaging for that Imperial Troop Transport. And I love seeing that. That's a very cool item. $167.50 was a very fair deal. Toy Scout, we're going to be covering more of Toy Scout's items in another video soon because he's got some really, really nice, or she, I don't know who it is. I think it's a he. But they've got some beautiful mint on cards at auction right now. And this one already ended. This is a factory sealed C-3PO collector case. And this obviously has the shrink wrap around it with some, tears to it. So you can see it's got a tear at the head. So that's why it sold so cheap. And obviously the packaging is kind of beat up too. But again, I think a pretty nice display piece at $190. Not a bad deal. This I thought was a great deal, again, from LM Lane. This is a sealed laser pistol. So you can see it's got the plastic still on it. And I don't know why this one sold so cheap. I mean, to me, this one is in really great shape overall. And, it's got some scuffing, don't get me wrong, but great condition for a factory sealed Return of the Jedi version. DL-44 laser pistol. I mean, this is really nice for $315. I thought that was a great deal and worth every penny of that price, in my opinion. Probably grades a 75-ish. This one is the Jabba the Hutt Dungeon Action Playset. I had this in a What to Buy video, and it sold before my video even went live. But it's mainly because of the baggies. You've got all three last 17 figures still sealed in the baggies. And I think, when I made the video, I said it's probably worth it just for the three baggies for $1,500 because the Amanaman baggie, the EV99 baggie, and then the Barada baggie is not that expensive. Probably, $200 or $300 for him. But the Amanaman baggie is probably $400 to $500, let's say $400. And then the EV99 baggie, that's a very expensive one. That's at least $400, $500. So you're getting pretty close to fair market value just in the baggies. And that's why it sold. It sold before my video even went live, as I said. But it was a very nice example and qualifiable, gradable, and very, very cool there. So $1,525 there. We had the Size Snoodles Rebo Band. This one was factory sealed, obviously some creasing to the flap and then yellowing to the blister. And as you can see, Max Rebo, even inside the packaging, has the discoloration to the arms and head. So very tough to find one of those where the arms and legs have not discolored, even factory sealed. $230.37 on that one. This seller had some beautiful mini rigs for sale. that Matthew C., a Patreon supporter, alerted me to. And the first one is the Return of the Jedi AST5. That one was graded CAS 80, factory sealed, for $330. I thought this one was a really good deal. This was the MTV7, but it's the Empire Strikes Back packaging. And this one was really nice. It got the 80 grade, which is, in my opinion, probably overgraded, given that the flap has a crease going all the way down there. I think, I don't think you can give this an 80 grade with that crease on there. But it's still $375. That's basically ungraded prices if it's factory sealed, which it is. This was red label. So, again, I think it was overgraded, but I also think that the price was very fair at $375 for the Empire Strikes Back version. That's a very expensive mini rig, either Return of the Jedi or ESB, but especially the ESB version. So I thought both of those were good deals. This seller had a number of Lukes for sale. Ungraded, I believe. I think all of them. This was the debut Luke Hoth, obviously yellowing to the blister. $317 was the final sales price on that. Punched example with a big price sticker, probably in about 75 grade shape, 75 plus grade condition. He also had a 79 back Luke Hoth. That one sold for bigger money because it's not really a card back you see very often. The 79 back Luke Hoth, you very rarely see this one. Usually it's the 77A for the Luke Hoth. The 79 back, I just don't remember seeing that one very, very often, if ever. So that one sold for more money at $371. They also had a 77 back Luke Bespin. That one sold for $565. I thought that was a pretty good deal. It looks like it's still clear blister, maybe faint yellowing to it, but not much. It's a very nice example for $565. Then we had a 77 back Luke X-Wing. That one sold for $250, probably about right. Even yellowed blister Return of the Jedi Luke X-Wings, they are very desirable. And in higher grade, even yellowed, they can go for quite a bit of money. So that one was probably a pretty fair price at $250. Here we had a Return of the Jedi Shelf Talker graded AFA 80. These were just placed at point of retail in stores to kind of catch your eye as you're walking by. And so they're pretty desirable among collectors. AFA 80, that one sold for $477. That feels like a really good deal to me for what that is. So Return of the Jedi Shelf Talker, AFA 80. And then to finish things off, we've got some Power of the Force. We got a B-Wing pilot, obviously heavily yellowed, but pretty good condition for the card. Unpunched, no price sticker for $152. That's the most common Power of the Force card back there is, the B-Wing pilot. The A-Wing pilot, his counterpart, this one was also unpunched, not quite in as good a shape, probably about a 75 grade. That one sold for $393, which again, I think is still very fair for what it is, given that a loose, complete, near mint A-Wing pilot can go for $300 all day long by itself. And then we had C-3PO, removable limbs. This one was graded CAS 85 plus. This was the same seller as the Tauntaun that sold. This one sold for $350. Pretty fair deal there on that one. And Lumat, this one was on a pretty beat up card, $164.11, which I think still that's a good deal. I mean, Lumat loose complete is about that price, so I thought that was a pretty good deal. $164. Same seller also had the Imperial Dignitary on kind of a budget friendly example. Some creasing in the lower right hand corner, heavy yellowing, and then creasing by the hang tab with the price sticker. That one sold for $204. Again, a very good price for one without a cracked blister. And then finally was the Luke Skywalker Stormtrooper disguise, probably in about 75 grade shape. Pretty decent example there for $811. So $811 is the cheapest price I've seen given that condition. That's a pretty decent condition example for $811. So anyway, that's all I really had for this look at mostly mint on card vintage Star Wars figures. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks as always again for watching, and I'll be back soon.